We are live, sir.
So very good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure being able to relaunch the JGLS Young Scholars Colloquium. Today is a very special day. Today is Vasant Panchami. And I wish a very happy Saraswati Puja to all of you, the goddess of learning, the goddess of knowledge, who is worshipped in entire country. Today is the day, and what a great day to restart our Young Scholars Colloquium. I believe every student of law is a young scholar. Law as a profession, as an area of studies, is actually a journey and celebration of scholarship in many ways, and the profession as well. Today we have 4 of our alumni joining from 4 different parts of country and the world. Sandeep Palutea, 1318 batch, graduate from Jindal Global Law School, had joined us from UAE. Ashwagandhan Nankani, who had joined us from Mumbai. Ravanth had joined us from Delhi, and Vibho had joined us from Bangalore. Our student panelist Sanjana had joined us from Jodhpur, and I am from Sonipat. It's such a pleasure hosting all of you, and thank you so much for finding time for joining me on this Saturday evening. This Young Scholars Colloquium is also a celebration of the talent of the bright young individuals who came to our campus in Sonipat all the way from around the country, around the world, met this place, their home, and then moved on after graduating. Again, I believe, doing good work, in a way contributing to justice, contributing to rule of law, contributing to making a better society, a better world, wherever they are. This colloquium also wants to connect the alumni with some existing student. In this panel, Sanjana represents the student body. Though for last 2 years, our students are suffering badly due to COVID, they are not able to join the campus. We are trying to open the campus on 1st of March. So I hope Sanjana could spend the last semester on campus. So without any further delay, I will like the first speaker of this panel, Sandeep Palutea. Sandeep, I have very fond memories of you. Though you have worked as a lawyer, I remember very well your strong academic inclinations and the way you contributed, particularly to ADR and related laws and mediation and arbitration, even being part of all the societies, doing a lot of conferences, seminars, even having, I won't, I will be candid to tell you, you could have become a good academic if you wish to pursue that track. I'm very happy you are in the UAE working with a corporate setup. I'd like you to tell about your professional journey as well. So over to you, and thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much, Professor, for the kind invitation. In this part, as required, I will be mostly speaking about my academic journey, starting from, say, school, and then switching to law school and different opportunities that I received, how it helped me to reach where I am today, and what are the different things that contributed to this working environment and the experience that I'm gaining right now. I'm a first generation lawyer, no sympathy or no those punchlines that I'm trying to contribute. But the reason why I'm stating this is because a lot of students usually have this mindset that, if you are first generation, there is no one else in your military family background. It's going to be a problematic. But when I'm going to speak about my academic journey, I'm going to mostly focus on a lot of failures that I had initially, and that will make you realize that if I can do it, probably anyone can do it, for that matter. So it's just not that I'm the first generation lawyer. My entire family's background is military, armed forces. So I don't think anyone is working in private sector apart from me as such. So that was the initial challenge, because everyone in my family motivated me to go towards the armed forces, and kind of, I was pressurized till third year of my law school to give JAG and not consider anything else. JAG is Judge, Advocate, and General. It's military lawyers. But I was good in academics till 10th. I was scoring decent grades, and then science hit it, and which hit it really hard. I took science stream because of my 10th grade without knowing many career options. And then the grades started decreasing since the first test, and everyone got worried. Even the principal used to invite me in his office and ask me what is going on. I was a bit naughty as well in terms of, normal discipline stuff. I was in army school, so things were strict. But, when you are a bit unruly sometimes, and you focus more on bunking the classes and, probably towards the sports side, they end up making you, probably the monitor of class or vice discipline of your school. And that's what happened with me. They made me vice discipline and discipline just to control me. But, I wasn't that great at academics in 11th and 12th standard. And I scored 33 in maths in the board exam. So there it goes. I haven't made it public so far, but so what happened is the family got worried that, okay, shit, this is not going to work out for him, and we need to consider alternative options. And the reason why I didn't score isn't because I couldn't study or I didn't have the focus or something. It's just I didn't like and didn't have many career options in front of me to choose from. But the another reason is I never touched the books of certain subjects in the science. Even during the board exam, I was doing some other stuff, reading about political science, exploring other alternative career options and whatnot. And even after the board, I realized that my physics book had two different parts, part 1 and part 2 in CBSE. And that I realized when I was cleaning my studying desk to shift back to Rajasthan from UP, where my dad was posted. Okay, there was a second part as well. So those things happened during the school time. And then I got serious. I didn't want it to do science. I was more interested in, say, political science in general, and sociology and all those kind of stuff. So I was speaking with a couple of commerce students from my school. And somewhere we came across this CLAT and, law school and stuff, which was unheard of in my even extended family. Because if you ask them anything related to, say, probably military or different kinds of entrance and different kinds of officer categories or whatever the career opportunities are there in defenses, they can tell you, but nothing apart from that. So I started exploring, gave a drop, started preparing for CLAT, but I wasn't good at, sitting for 3 hours kind of exam, where I have to sit for 3-4 hours and mug up these kind of things. So did terribly bad in CLAT, the second failure. So I was thinking, okay, what we need to do to get something out of my life. And Army Institute of Law has 80% of reservation for Army students. I was thinking, okay, that could be one trick that I could do and pull out something out of, this life. And when I was considering that, somewhere I heard of Jindal and I gave the LSAT before that as well, but I wasn't much aware about the university. And then I went to my parents and said, okay, I think they can shape me. Means there's something that obviously I can do there, and it seems like pretty interesting, and probably I will join that university. And they agreed, cleared the LSAT, joined the law school. First semester was a bit hectic, but I scored well, and the grades started improving. One thing that really stood out in Jindal was the opportunity, because I'm not very academic kind of student. I'm very picky. If I like a specific subject, I study it really well, score really well. And if I don't like it, it's difficult for me to even get the passing marks. So that was a challenge initially for me. But I could invest that time in a lot of different activities within the law school. And some of the professors who have taught me have done really great job at ensuring where I am today, because the, the notes that are there from my contract classes or advanced corporate law class that I have taken, I'm still using them in different setups. The slides that I had for intellectual property, the basic concepts are something that I'm still using till date. I participated in almost every kind of extracurricular activities in Jindal, research paper presentation, publications, moot, ADR competitions, whether it's national or international, and had an opportunity to even go for exchange program. So all those different variety, I was able to balance it from the purely academic study and focus my energy on a lot of different opportunities that Jindal was providing me. And that helped me to figure out what actually I wanted to do, because my area of interest was so problematic that it was difficult for me to find a suitable job, because I was interested a little bit in policy, a little bit in law, a little bit in the business side, and the technology. And finding accumulation of those four things was a bit challenging for me. And therefore, I had to seek a lot of help from my professors. I had to speak with a lot of seniors. I have to do a lot of outside the university activities, outside the classroom activities, to know this field of law in a better way. But at the end, in the final year, I got an opportunity with one of the leading law firm in Bombay. And when I was looking at it, the profile that they were giving me, mostly the arbitration litigation, I thought, okay, I'm interested in ADR. That's a different thing. But I don't see myself doing ADR day in, day out. That's not going to suit me. So I started looking for more opportunities. Somewhere I found an internship opportunity here in UAE, applied for it, came here, worked for like 2 months as an intern. And I think I gave my final exam on 25th of May, 2018. And on 1st of June, I was here. So that was a pretty quick decision for me. For 2 months, I did an internship, and then I shifted to an aviation company. I was mostly working on a private plane chartering related task on the compliance and contract advisory. And after 10 months, from there, I shifted to my current role, where I've been heading the legal department of a tech company. We are spread across 15 to 16 different jurisdictions, different brand verticals that we have. And that's the journey. I can go into a lot of more failures that I had, but it will take me an entire day. But the reason I wanted to point it out is because sometimes law school would be tough, especially the first year. You will feel a lot lost, and there will be a lot of challenges. You will come from probably non-commerce or non-arts background, science background, where you didn't even like science in 11th and 12th standard. You didn't study properly. It was not your area of interest. And then you suddenly shift to law, which again is in itself very challenging and very broad domain. But what I want you guys who are in the audience to take it from my this discussion is that at the end, everything settles in its proper place, and you don't have to worry about, as long as you are focused and you know where your area of interest lies. Because from what I know, everyone from my batch are doing extremely well right now in different areas that they are interested in. No one is struggling as such. It seemed like in the 4th and 5th year, like what we will do if we don't get placed, and what are the different career opportunities that are there, what would happen if we score less, if we don't get O grade in a specific subject. And there were a lot of worries, which I think I left those worries way behind in 11th standard. So for me, it was a bit easy. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to focus on academics. And I think in the second part, I will also speak on why certain things are important in academics and how you can manage both the sides. But that's pretty much it. Over to you, Professor.
Oh, thank you so much, Sandeep. Such a pleasure to hear from you. Of course, I would have loved if you had spoken for, say, 30 minutes about this journey, and each one of you, actually. Sometimes I think having a panel of, say, 4 or 5 of our alumni and a student is not justified with the kind of experiences you have. But then we might think of something, exclusive lectures when you come back to campus sometime. I would like to invite all our alumni to come and talk to students. Now it's Harshvardhan Nankani, and Harsh is a 1419 batch BLLB honors graduate, presently working with ELP, Economic Law Practice, a renowned law firm, particularly in taxation and economic law areas. Harsh came from Dhirubhai Ambani International School with an IB diploma. I could see you went for a semester exchange to ISAID and also studied in Columbia and Melbourne in the summer schools. Sandeep went to Tsinghua University in China. I found in your profile. So I will tell you about when we did the previous versions of Younger Scholars Colloquium. There were a lot of speakers who joined from the campuses of University of Oxford, University of Cambridge, UC Berkeley, a lot of places. So now, Harsh, you are a corporate lawyer. You have chosen to work in a law firm immediately after your law school, and you're doing well. So I'd like you to share your journey, your time at the law school, the choice you made to come from Mumbai. What I understand from your school, a lot of students go abroad. The majority, the vast majority, chooses foreign universities, but you decided to come to Sonipat and study your law degree. And I'm very happy to have you in this panel. So over to you, Harsh.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you for having me today. And I'd like to thank all my co-panelists. Three of them are my batch. Two of them are my batchmates. There's three of us from the 2014 to 2019 batch here today. Sandeep is my senior. I have very pleasant memories of everyone. And of course, I haven't met Sanjana, so it's always nice to meet new people. I joined Jindal, as you said rightly, from Dhirubhai Ambani. And there I had done my IB diploma program, which actually didn't give me much time to prepare for the CLAT. It's a very intensive program, the IB diploma program, and it's chosen by people, as you rightly pointed out, who tend to want to study abroad. My motivation behind choosing the IB diploma program, and I'll come to why that's held me in good stead even through law school, was that I didn't find myself resorting to rote learning in the other boards or having too much free time on my hands with the state board, as were my options before me at the time. So I kind of knew before I even joined the IB that I wanted to stay in India and I wanted to study law. So when I appeared for the LSAT, the IB diploma held me in good stead. It gave me good reading and comprehension skills, which is the basis of the LSAT exam. Unlike the CLAT exam, which has a lot of rote learning and a lot of math involved. So thankfully, I did well in the LSAT exam, and I opted to come to Jindal. And I chose Jindal because of its faculty. I chose it because of the ecosystem that it provides. I was very impressed by the campus, and I was also very impressed by the fact that Jindal offered international exposure. Of course, I had foregone that sort of international exposure after the IB diploma program to study law and be an Indian qualified lawyer. And so I wanted a law school that could actually give me as much international exposure as I could. And as you rightly pointed out, I think I've made the most of it. I went for a semester exchange to SR in Barcelona. And before that, I did the program on international criminal justice with the University of Melbourne and the program on US business law at the University of Columbia, all for which I got credits back home at Jindal University. So after law school, as Sandeep really poignantly pointed out, there are a lot of anxieties in the third, fourth, fifth year. You tend to question your own capabilities as to whether you can make it in the field of practice that you choose, be it in legal practice or outside. Those outstanding grades tend to matter a lot at that point in time. the kind of academic pressure that one puts on themselves also matters. It tends to influence your experience of college, but at the same time, it provides a lot of life lessons. Just a correction over there, I didn't join a law firm directly out of law school. After law school, I was looking for opportunities in arbitration. And at that point in time, I was offered an internship in Singapore with Davinder Singh Chambers, which is a leading law firm, disputes law firm over there. Mr. Singh, he has been described as without peer at the bar in Singapore. He is a very known practitioner, and working at the firm taught me a lot. That was about 9 months after graduation. When I came back at the onset of the pandemic, I started looking for opportunities to actually utilize my time, and so I opted for the Jindal LLM, which was offered in collaboration with Upgrad. And after my first trimester, I was offered another opportunity to be a legal researcher and a judicial clerk for Justice Indu Malhotra, who was a sitting Supreme Court judge at the time. I worked with her, and unfortunately, the work pressure is always so much. I mean, you've seen the rosters of a judge; it's always packed. That my focus veered away from my LLM, but the LLM was designed in a way that it was made for working professionals, and they did accommodate for that. So I practically did my second and third trimester of that LLM together, and and went on to complete my dissertation after that. I worked with Justice Malhotra up to March of 21, which is when she retired. And after coming back and finishing my LLM requirements, I joined ELP. At ELP, I work with the arbitration team and the capital markets team, where we appear for SEBI before the SAT in a lot of matters. The SAT being the Securities Appellate Tribunal. It's been a very it's been a great learning experience for me. In fact, I would say that I gained a lot from a lot of exposure from not joining a law firm in India directly after college. I took my time with it. I settled in. I got to know my own interests and my own areas of curiosity a little more. I did not know that I would be interested in securities law before I actually did the LLM. So the LLM was it was a very informative experience, and it was an exercise in self-discovery, you can say, where I got to know that I had the academic inclination towards securities law as well. And that brings me to where I am right now. As an associate, I feel that law firm life is a great path to be on in your career. It's no doubt if you wish to take a different path from the one that I've just expressed straight after law school, and this goes out to the students watching. Please feel free to do so. Everyone's on their own individual journey here. But I feel like being a part of a law firm teaches you a lot, especially because you get to cross-pollinate from different domain areas of expertise. Law firms tend to have synergies, and they tend to you tend to learn from people that may not that have different areas of expertise from you, and I feel like that's the way forward in the future, where these synergies will come in handy, and anyone who doesn't take full advantage of these synergies will just be replaced through automation and robots. We're a fair bit away from that, but in any case, I'd like to hear a lot more on this from the other panelists. So I hand over the floor back to you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Ash. It's so good to hear from you. Now it's the turn of Ravanth Solanki.
Yes.
I have memories of Ravanth more at Jindal about organizing Biswa Mill, the student fest, and I, I don't remember exactly you're a member of the student council or not, but I truly appreciated the way you took leadership in student initiatives and a lot of efforts, a lot of time, a lot of passion you displayed in all institution building initiatives while on campus. And the same thing is true about even Sandeep. I remember taking a lot of initiative. About Harsh, I have very fond memories. One of the highest viewed videos on YouTube about Jindal Global Law School is one which Harsh did with a very famous YouTuber. It's called Chet Chat. And uh, you were quite young. I mean, much younger. You are even young now. You were much younger that time. And it was an amazing video you shot, and I could watch many years back. So all of you, I believe the purpose of higher education institutions is that transformational experience and also the ability to transform individuals, young individuals like you, to become responsible adult global citizens who are actually ready to take on the world and to do and contribute their part in making the world a better place. So Revan, I understand you come from Ranchi. You studied from the JVM Shamli, that famous school, and then came to the law school as a BLB honors student. And now you are working as a law researcher with the Honorable Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. So over to you to share your experience, your journey.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been a pleasure that I've been invited for this. And I was just thinking when Professor Mishra gave me this invitation, I thought that he said that you just need to share a bit of your experiences as a law student and then your career in law. And I thought that would not, and he said that that would not require a lot of preparation. And I was like, it's so much memories and experiences propping up the moment you think that you have to share your life journey right from class 11th, 12th till the point that we are here right now. But however, I would like to point out first that thankfully we were the last lucky batch to have everything in person, even the convocation. And an interaction like this at that point of time would be just a walk-in conversation with one of the professors in the law school, which was an absolute pleasure at that point of time. So how I joined Jindal, and before that, when I was in school, so I, again, like Sandeep, I joined the science stream as a 11th and 12th student. And I was a Three Idiots fan, so I had decided that I will not do the engineering. However, I had no idea what I'm going to do ahead after I graduate. So I was going to tuitions. Of course, science has a lot of tuitions that you have to take for every subject that there is. And once I passed class 11th, and I barely passed, it was a very difficult task to pass science if you do not have interest. So my father asked whether you have planned anything for your post-graduation or not. So, and I was completely blank. And I had this vague idea that I would probably do economics honors, while I was not preparing at all for it. But I had this vague idea. And then he asked that, is there anything for a competitive career that you were trying to go for? And I said that law. And then one thing led to the another, and I joined Career Launcher. And as we all know, Professor Mishra has a long standing journey and relationship with Career Launcher. It was in one of those coaching classes that Professor Paddy and Professor Mishra had come for a talk. And on that talk, till that point of time, I would be candidly saying this, that I had this impression that Jindal is a school for the elites. maybe it's difficult for a middle-class family like mine to afford it. But when I heard that talk from Professor Paddy and subsequently our interaction with Professor Mishra, it was that was one of the moments when I decided that maybe I should go for law school, go for Jindal Law School in particular, because they said that when you go, if you want to learn the law, probably you can just open a book and go ahead and read the sections, read the case laws. But to actually feel and apply those things in reality, you need the help of a great faculty. And that is what Jindal had offered. And eventually when I also cleared, I cleared one of the lower NLUs, and I was thinking of going for that because of a certain mentality that from where I belong, it also comes that you have to go for a government institution rather than a private institution. But it so happened that I joined Jindal, and in fact, the first time I visited Jindal was after I had joined it. I had not even come for a campus tour. And after that, it has been a great journey. It had been a great journey in Jindal, which started with the first time that I visited campus. It was a big blast of exposure, and in many ways more than anything. And I realized slowly in the process of, as in our first year specifically, when you get so many readings and you're totally not aware as to how to approach something like this, the kind of readings that was given in political science or any other sociology or subjects like this, which I had no exposure to, I thought that this is going to be a tough 5 years, and it's going to be, I don't know how I'm going to make it. But it's there where a place like Jindal comes into, into its true being, that it lets you blossom, and it lets you choose what you want to do, and the kind of passion that you have for any particular field, any particular activity that you have, you can go for it. And that is how, as Professor Mishra mentioned, I found one of my comfort homely zones in organizing cultural fests. And that also gave me a sense of a community feeling that, a place like Jindal is a home away from home. Sanjana, I happen to know because he has also worked for Biswamil at one point of time. Vibho has also been a part of Biswamil. So this community feeling and, being one and all together is something that JGU Jindal gave me as a part of my academic journey. Apart from that, I have had great friends and who have now become family, who are now part of my everyday, specifically people who are in Delhi, otherwise also. And I hope they are listening to this. And I realized that apart from obviously friends and the community, that feeling that I got from Jindal, it was amazing interaction, amazing learning that I got through the faculty members in the university. One of I would like to share a few, of course. So the first mentioning would of course be with Professor Bindal, and the way he used to teach constitutional law back when we were in second year, and then specifically his elective, which was psychoanalysis, an investigation into the legal unconscious. Very heavy sounding elective, but the way he used to teach he almost made us feel that it's our duty as lawyers, as legal professionals, to go beyond the law and to think that law is actually capable of social change. Secondly, I would also like to mention my interaction with Professor Srijit, who is a very my dear individual, and he used to teach us jurisprudence too, wherein in one of the assignments that he gave us, I scored abysmally low marks. However, the whole point of jurisprudence too was to challenge this existing norms, for example, the systems that are already in place. And one of the themes of the subject was also to challenge something like a grading system. So I just asked him as to Professor, what are the areas that I can improve on, and what do you think was not right in this paper? And he was very kind enough to call me, tell me each of the areas that I could have worked on. And later on, when he happened to meet me again at an occasion with Professor Mishra only, he fondly remembered this, that, I remember Ravanth as someone who was not concerned about the marks. He was about what kind of improvement can I make as a student here. And this is the kind of relationship, that a place like Jindal offers to you. Apart from that, there are other mentions also. Professor Kush Makkar, who is now practicing in London, he was one of those people who had taught me very early, I think in class, he was teaching us ADR, and back in third year, he told me that if you are going to decide what you have to do, first decide what you do not want to do. And that is something which I have gone ahead and kept in mind at every step that I take. And I'm fine that I'm okay if I don't know what I don't want, what I do want to do, but I should know what I do not. So I had all this while, of course, apart from that, Professor Raj and Professor Murthy, who, despite their so busy schedules, have been listening to all our problems, right from the smallest to the biggest ones, and to say even the toilet flush till the kind of career problems that we have. And I would not say that in any ascending or descending order. All our problems were big enough. But anyway, and of course, Professor Mishra, who was like a guardian to me on campus, and also the fact that we all belong to the same region in this country, that which also added to the kind of experience I had in law school. And apart from that, my experience with internships have been, for the larger part of it, I believe till the fourth year, it was about me observing more than doing the work, actually. And I do believe that as a legal professional, you learn a lot just by observing. And that is what I used to do. Till the point that the people who I used to work with as an intern believed that he is capable of helping us with some work as well. And this turned on went on till the point of time when I interned with one of the senior advocates from Supreme Court, Mr. Krishnan Venugopal. And in that 1 month of an experience, I got to work on a constitution bench matter, and it was almost working on the matter with respect to arguments, with respect to the different strategies that we could take, that he was kind enough to let me in on, and that was an amazing experience. So yes, echoing what Harsh and Sandeep had already said, that when you approach third, fourth year, fifth year, you are like, I have to decide where I have to go after this. And of course, going on Professor Makkar's advice, I had realized, I'm going to go for something, and I'm going to learn wherever I go. So I joined the law firm, in fact, for a few months before I actually joined Justice Patel in Delhi High Court as a law researcher. Those 4 months were quite a bit of exposure. However, I decided that I had to leave that place because there was a very niche area that they were specifically practicing in. And thankfully I got an opportunity in around January of 2020 with Justice Patel. And ever since I have been with him. He's due to retire the next month. But when it comes to working with a judge, it is entirely dependent on who you are working with. So you might be asked to work on the judgments. You might be asked to work on daily orders, otherwise written peshies, which tell you what exactly important, which helps the judge know what exactly important is for the next day's matters. But thankfully for me, my experience with the chief has been that I have been a part of oral briefing, which entails that it's the process in which a judge makes up his mind for the cases next day. That goes through an oral discussion between the LRs and the chief. And that is something which has been a very insightful and which has been a very brainstorming kind of a process for me, which I believe is one of the most important aspects of being a lawyer, to be able to apply your own mind. And apart from this, there were discussions where you almost talk to him and he will question you as if you are the petitioner yourself or you are the plaintiff yourself. And that is something that that helps you come out from the hesitation that you have as a aspiring litigating lawyer, that at the end of the day, you're going to argue your cases in front of the court. So that has been a very cutting edge experience that I have had, I believe, working with him. And apart from that, you can always learn from the wisdom and interaction that you have with the judges. And I believe it's an initiative-based job also, that you can take up other research opportunities while you're working with a judge and get his or her guidance in the process. And it's also a place, if you have good enough court exposure, you get to know who's the who's a who of the legal profession who are working in a place like Delhi. And as I said, you get to learn a lot from observing other people, your seniors, and that is also something which has been a good experience for me. Although I would have liked that these 2 months, these 2 years that I have been with him would have been more of a physical exposure, but the pandemic has not been able to provide us with that. Because of the pandemic, we have been stuck to our homes. But more or less, it has been a great experience, and one can choose this to go ahead in their individual journey. It gives you a bird's eye view of how the legal profession works, the litigating world works.
Perfect, Ravanth. I just wanted you to throw light on alternate options, because even from legal education institutions' point of view, the career aspiration of students and also the premier law schools, their responsibility is to groom, is to produce, is to graduate wholesome lawyers who are not just moving towards one particular field, because legal practice, legal profession is a diverse field, and having good courtroom lawyers and judges, it's something which is so fundamental. Of course, law firms and their work is critical, particularly in the matters of economy and trade and business and commerce. But in the justice delivery system, the role of practicing lawyers and judges is something which, I mean, it can't exist without them. So you have chosen to work as a law researcher, or in a way clerking with the Delhi High Court Chief Justice, is something like a departure. It's and trust me, it's a great pathway. It's a great learning experience. In the long run, it all pays when you move on to build your own practice, or start handling your own cases. Now I will come to Vibho. Vibho comes from Bangalore, and very popular school, Sri Kumaran Children's Home. I found something very interesting about Vibho is he has been an avid mooter in the law school, and he was semi-finalist in Manfred Lax, did a lot of internships with many firms, and presently working as an associate with Khetan and Company, which is, of course, one of the largest law firms in India, and also one of the oldest. It's since 1911, if I remember correctly. So a firm which has completed 110 years. So Vibho, I want you to share your academic journey coming from Bangalore to Sonipat, spending time here. And I would like you also to throw some light about coming directly to a firm after the law school and your experience in that regard. Over to you.
First of all, thank you so much, sir, for having me here. And thank you to all the co-speakers for sharing your perspective and experiences in your journey with law. In my talk, I would like to basically divide this in 3 parts, probably how I led to take up law, then my experience at Jindal Global Law School, and thirdly, what I did thereafter. So to begin with, as you said, so I mean, I came from Bangalore to Sonipat, Haryana, which might not be the greatest transformation in terms of degree, but an absolutely wonderful campus that we had, and the kind of people we had from each and every corner of the nation probably made it more easier. So that was a great experience. And yes, I am a 2014 to 2019 batch BBA LLB graduate. And unlike my batchmates on this session, I took up BBA LLB, which relates more in relation to business related subjects than probably something more in relation to arts like history, political science, etc. So something that I was sure from the beginning that that's something I definitely will not do well with, and I had an inclination towards business. So probably something that led me to take up BBA LLB. I mean, go a little further back. I mean, how I came into law. Similar to my couple of my co-speakers, I have a science background. I did biology simply because of my interest in 11th and 12th. Definitely did not think I'll end up doing law post that. But fortunately or unfortunately, I knew that I did not want to pursue medicine or anything in relation to biology post my 12th. So I ended up giving quite a few entrance exams in various fields. And luckily, I ended up doing well in the law entrance exam, which was LSAT. And that is how it led me to Jindal Global Law School, which was then a very budding law school with a lot of name that they were making in the news, and especially because of the kind of faculty and infrastructure that they were offering at that point in time, which was very unique at that point in time. So from there, the journey started in Jindal. And as Sandeep said, I am also a first generation lawyer in my family. So I could literally sense the fear of my parents and relatives that where will he end up after taking up law, right? But I mean, the first couple of years at Jindal obviously goes into I spent a lot of time exploring the subjects and how exactly things are done around here. In terms of, I'd never experienced writing a research paper, which could be as simple as that, right? I didn't know how to go about it. So, I mean, it takes time and you feel lost, you feel anxious, but after a point in time, I think if you persist at it, I think that helped me a lot to kind of pick up things and thereafter move ahead. To speak next about my journey in Jindal, I think from somewhere end of third year to maybe the beginning of fourth year, I somehow knew that I wanted to pursue corporate law for sure. Litigation was definitely not my cup of tea, at least. So my focus began to shift more towards the corporate law subjects. And I began reading up more and maybe focusing more on those subjects. And that led me to probably exploring my internship opportunities also in that sense. I had the opportunity of interning with some of the leading law firms before I interned with Khaitan. And that was a slow and gradual progress, I would say, for me personally, to kind of finally land up where I am today. In terms of, how I went about my internships at that point in time, I think one of the key aspects was that I have seen that people try to do as many internships as possible across different firms and different areas. But once you do zero in on something, my suggestion would be that, you really want to build a relationship with whoever you're working with or whichever organization you're working with, which is essential for you to grow in that relationship or organization, right? Which helps you also grow your knowledge in that sense and probably get more opportunities within that space. So that is how I pursued my internships, and after 2 internships with Khaitan, I was offered a PPO at the end of my 4th year, which was when I knew that I'm going to have some very long working hours post my graduation, but somehow I was up for it, and it's been going quite well. To take a little step back, one other definite point that I should make about my experience at Jindal is since my schooling times, I'd never completely wanted to focus only on academics. and I have grown up playing a lot of sports. And once I entered Jindal, I was really worried about whether I'll get that opportunity or not. But luckily, I had the opportunity of playing volleyball with the university team, and Sandeep has also been a part of that team. So I mean, that was one of a great experience in the sense that I probably got to grow on a personal level as well, in the sense that I picked up people skills, communication skills, and simply, being in a community and working with a team, which becomes essential when you move ahead in your career, or generally anywhere in life for that matter of fact. So that was one of the major aspects for me, which was the opportunity to play sports at Jindal. As Sir said, and a tiny correction, that we didn't make it to the semifinals of the Manfred Lax competition itself, the moot competition. We were in the semifinalists of the funding rounds of the Manfred Lax competition. So again, mooting, generally Jindal offers a lot of global opportunities, right? They have moots, debates, negotiations, mediation competitions, sports competitions, and there are other cultural competitions which they send you to, which creates an environment for you to not only focus on your studies when you're doing that, but also to kind of unwind, relax, and pursue what you think are your hobbies. And maybe in the future, you might completely switch from law and probably want to completely pursue one of those pursue your career in one of those spaces. So that was an opportunity which Jindal offered, and which I was grateful for, and something that helped me probably focus on my studies when I was doing studying, but otherwise when I was playing, I was totally focused on playing and otherwise. So that was another aspect which I am really grateful for, or in hindsight, because I think that kind of shaped me as a person, in the sense that I was able to meet different kind of people from different cultures. And also the networking between juniors and seniors is generally what I've seen is a big concern amongst juniors, because you do not know how to approach seniors, or you do not know how to get advice from them or guidance from them, which probably makes it much more easier when you have such inter-batch competitions, etc., which it makes it much more easier for you to communicate with your seniors. So that was definitely another aspect of Jindal, which I really liked. Then moving forward, I think post Jindal, how I pursued, as Sir said, that straight out of law school, I joined Khaitan, and it's been 2.5 years since I've been working there, and it's been a great experience. And at Khaitan, I primarily work on private equity, venture capital investments and acquisitions. But an interesting part about which you usually don't hear is I also extensively work on online gaming and gambling related laws. And again, I would like to point out that opportunity slowly built up because of my journey in Jindal, because they offered electives such as, sports law and advanced sports law, which was taken by professors Weatherly Schwab, Sean Starr, who were leading individuals in that space. And to get to learn from them and to get a practical, practical perspective of how that field actually functions and what you need to do in order to probably explore different opportunities in that field was something critical for me. And that interest grew in law school, and it continued with Khaitan. And I'm lucky to have had that opportunity to work on these matters, and that is how it's been going. To specifically speak about pros or cons of a corporate law firm directly out of law school, I don't see cons per se, because the experience does not become very different simply because you did an LLM and then joined a law firm, or joined directly out of the law firm, at least in my personal experience. Simply because a lot of learning happens on the job, while your foundation or your basics are laid down in law school. But on the practical aspects, a lot of things are learned on the job. And therefore, your your day-to-day activities that you do at a law firm will come to you as and when you spend time in that corporate setup, in that corporate law firm setup, right? So in that sense, I don't see any cons. Probably the only thing that after a few months, you might start speaking to your friends also in your corporate language and say, certainly, and thank you for your inputs and etc. So apart from that, I don't see any other cons per se, but there are definitely, a lot of pros, right? Corporate law firms, at least from my perspective, offer a variety of work that you can do. Simply in the sense that you might be advising a company on investments at the same time, something related to, as I said, gambling laws, or something in relation to fintech, or banking related, debt related stuff. So you get a lot of opportunities to explore which area of corporate law you want to take up, or finally make your career out of. Which probably in the future, if you decide to do an LLM, will be critical, because you would want to focus more on those subjects or those areas of law. So that is definitely one thing, that you have variety of work to do in a corporate law firm. There are long hours, and probably the volume of work also sometimes is overwhelming. But it's a matter of what you prioritize and what your priorities are, and how you kind of manage your time in order to kind of get through that phase. So that is, definitely one of my experiences at a leading corporate law firm. And I think, to sum it up, in all, it's been a great experience and journey for me in law, and really excited and looking forward to what's ahead. And thank you so much, sir, for having me, and over to you.
That's so good to hear from you, Vibho. Now it's time to go to our student panelist. Sanjana has studied from Delhi Public School in Jodhpur. Jodhpur is also the seat of Rajasthan High Court. So it's an important city that way. Very few state capitals, we do not have High Court. Rajasthan is one of them. The High Court is mainly in Jodhpur, and there is a bench in Jaipur, isn't it? So I could see you interned with Additional Advocate General, with a special public prosecutor, even with the famous NGO, People's Union for Civil Liberties, the PUCL. But then you started interning with firms, with DSK Legal, with Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas, and with Tri-Legal. And I'm very happy to take note that you are already recruited by Tri-Legal and an upcoming associate after you graduate from the law school. So this is your last semester, and I wish you come and join the campus from 1st of March, when hopefully we are wishing that the COVID situation should be under control, and the campus opens in full swing for everyone. So over to you, Sanjana, about sharing your experiences. And then we will come back, and also we have to take a few questions which our audience has asked in the YouTube chat, because this session is relayed on both YouTube and Facebook channels of our university. So we'll take up those questions. So over to you, Sanjana.
First of all, thank you for inviting me to this forum, Professor. I'm grateful to be here with so many successful panelists and the alumni of Jindal. I would like to touch upon my journey to law school and from there, of course. So, starting off with one thing, I think I would relate to a couple of you who would say that you were the first generation lawyers of their family. Again, not gaining sympathy at all, but with me, I think it was really tough, because every single member in my family, right from my grandfather to my elder sister, like mother, father, every uncle, aunt, everyone in my family has just been into one profession, and they all are chartered accountants. So you have that bundle of pressure over you. So, okay, this is something going on from generations, and then you have to go into it. But then, as I think Ravanth highlighted that, you should decide something on what you do not have to do before deciding what you do. So, from very early days of my childhood, one thing that I knew for sure that I will not do CA. Like, I'll do anything in the world, but like not this profession, because there's already so much of it that I've heard, and then so much of it that uh, was there going on in my family throughout the day. So I was like, no, no, no. I need some different variety in my life. I need something more to hear of. So it was then when I decided, I think it was in my class 11th when I decided to pursue law, when I realized, that, this is something that is really intriguing me, and it might ultimately pave my career path. So again, it was challenging for me because since there's no legal background for that, so I always had that pressure on me that my father's not there to support me, or there's no already office set up for me to go and start working or something like that. So there was a constant pressure to prove yourself. So I started my preparations and was lucky enough to secure decent enough marks to get into multiple NLUs and private universities. However, after getting to know about the international collaborations and academic opportunities and exposures that Jindal had to offer, I finally decided to visit the campus. And it was then when I got to meet and got to know Professor Anand and Professor Raj. So, and then ultimately, I decided to take admissions for my graduation in law at Jindal Global Law School. Um, then being in the final year of my law school, I think I won't be exaggerating if I say that my time at JGLS has been amongst one of the most transformative and fundamental period of my life. I would say that yes, the pandemic did affect our lives as students, but I feel that regardless of these hurdles, the university did not limit to offer opportunities to us from for our growth and our development. So in the university, I was exposed to a plethora of people with diverse cultures and opinions, and it really helps you to develop as a person, I feel. And I believe that it was these experiences at the university that has helped me um, gain a deeper sense of thinking and a critical perspective towards life. The university has given me the platform to explore my skills, my interest in not only academics, but also curricular and co-curricular, extracurricular activities. And, when you say that there are different opportunities, it's not only the cultural fests and the moot courts, or regardless of, there's no limit to it. It's just you have to seek out to those opportunities either which ways. If I was a person for the first 2 years of my law school, I was not really interested into academics strictly. Like I think I have been like that throughout my school, that I cannot just focus on one thing. I need a lot of things going on simultaneously to keep myself on track. So I think it had been that way. But for the first, more than for the first half of my law school, I think I was trying to just figure out my area of interest in the diverse field of law. I was just trying to explore things by interning in with various NGOs, with law chambers from law firms. But I think as soon as I decided upon it, I did not, skip any opportunity to intern with the field that I'm interested in, which was litigation disputes resolution. And with the guidance of the career services cell at the JGLS, I was privileged to be able to intern with leading law firms of the legal fraternity like Hetan, like Trilegal, and others, as Sir pointed out. I think these internship experiences not only helped me to gain an immense exposure into the working culture of the law firm, but also provided me with extensive exposure to the practical functioning and extensive understanding of the law. And as any other student who stepped into to a university, I was also skeptical about the fact that where will the end of these 5 years are going to lead me to. Will I be successful? Will I be somewhere? Or will I be able to make that investment that my parents had made? Will I be able to make it through to its value or not? So there was a huge load of pressure that any and every student faces. But then I would not shy away to say that with the encouragement and support of the professors and the administration and the staff and my colleagues, of course, I am happily placed with a tier one law firm, and I'm thrilled to start my journey with all of their blessings into the new world of opportunities and that lay ahead of me. And as I step towards the end of my journey at law school, I believe that taking admission into JGU has been the wisest decision I have ever made. And this university has groomed me into the person that I am today, as Sir highlighted that, it's the experiences and the exposure of the senior secondary and higher secondary school that transforms you into the person that you are brought to in front of the world. And it has made me this person that I am today. And I have been able to meet a lot of wonderful people and created some extraordinary memories. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank every single person, from professors, my colleagues, to administration, to staff, who has supported and guided me in this journey from law school to the law firm now. So thank you. So that's enough from me. I think I'll hand it over to you.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, Sanjana. I'm so happy to, it looks like the time is too short for our discussion to, each one of you have so much to share, so much beautiful experiences. I will come to Sandeep now. There is a question from audience about exchange programs. And I think you went for a semester abroad.
Yes, Professor.
And I think there are a few questions about scholarships awarded at the time of admission. I will take that up. I think some of you certainly studied on a scholarship as well in this panel, right? How many of you received a scholarship at the time of admission? Oh, Harsh, Ravanth, all four of you, but not Sanjana. No problem. So that's quite remarkable. This year also, the scholarship question, rather, I will not like to take up in this session, but I would like to tell all of you also, we have some 170 plus scholarships this year for our 5-year program. And then overall, some 350 students will be awarded a scholarship in total in our scholarship policy this year. So we are trying to enlarge the ambit. We are trying our best to, because we do not have that luxury of our scholarships getting funded by some external agencies and benefactors, which the top universities in the world, the 100-year-old universities, or the universities like Oxford, Cambridge, or Harvard, they have that kind of, external bodies, trust societies awarding a scholarship to their students. But here we have our own university which institutes a scholarship. I will take it up that later at some other occasion. But over to you, Sandeep, to answer that semester exchange opportunity which you availed and the experience you had.
Yeah. So for me, semester exchange was important from the perspective that there are certain specific fields that I wanted to focus on. When I started early in the law school, I was at that time more interested into intellectual property. So even before IP was taught, I was already participating in debates, presenting papers, was a research assistant to Professor Sunita Tripathi. I'm doing a couple of things. And then my, in the last part of, say, I would say third year or before, just a couple of months before the exchange program, my interest was more focused towards ADR. So I just took the list of a couple of universities that I could be eligible for. There were around, I think, 30 to 40 universities during my time, and I think probably it has increased by now, and good number of seats in each university. So I just took the list of those universities to find out in which university I have the right professors that I want to be taught by, and what are the different programs. So rather than going country specific or say university name specific, I went ahead with the subject and the professor who are going to teach there. The process, at least when I applied for the semester exchange, was based upon 3 criteria. So there was a marking system. First was obviously your academics, so you have to score, and that's the reason I wanted to come back to the academics. You can't just ignore academics. It will play a very important role in your career and in your promotions and in your job switch and your higher education scholarship at a lot of places. It will play a very significant role. So that's one thing. The second was interview, and based upon your CV and various other questions that were asked. And the third was SOP, statement of purpose, why you wanted to go for the scholarship. So you were marked on 3 different things. Based upon that, you were given the ranking, and then you had universities in the terms of bidding process. For me, it was a really great experience because that time I was already very much involved in ADR. And Professor Gary Bourne, Professor Teresa Cheng, and all those people were teaching in Tsinghua University full-time. And the Tsinghua University also offered a full-time LLM program to be attended by the exchange. So I kind of completed my half LLM while I was for 1 semester in Tsinghua. So I studied from some of the leading arbitration professionals, had a chance to sit with Professor Gary Bourne after every class and have a coffee and discuss about the leading judgments that were coming in Indian Supreme Court. And during that time, I think there was one issue that was going on for multi-tiered arbitration, and we used to have lengthy discussion because the case was referred to the higher bench, and after the class we used to have very intensive discussions about it. But overall, this was the process. We went there. Extremely helpful exposure that I received, because that just I would say enhanced my exposure and my knowledge to arbitration. And as I said, I completed a half LLM while studying there as a semester exchange student, because I just took all their LLM subjects and a couple of additional subjects to make up my credit, because Jindal has some strict requirements, and to finish off those credits at Tsinghua was a bit difficult, because their credits were, even for the subject that was taught by Professor Bourne for their LLM program, was just 2 credits. And we had to complete 28 credits, bring 28 credits back to Jindal. So it was pretty intensive. Classes used to start early in the morning, and then it would last till like late evening, or sometimes at night, 8 or 9, we would finish, because you have to complete a lot of subjects. But that is the place from where I think my international exposure kicked. And then on the second attempt, I went for a fully funded training program by Lakshmi Mittal Institute of Harvard University here in Dubai for 7 days. And so these two things, I think, shaped my career, my understanding of international disputes, international exposure in a lot of complicated transactions that we have. Even as an in-house lawyer, I think the knowledge that I gained during the exchange program, and that is something that I think only Jindal could offer. And that was one of the most significant attraction that I had to go to Jindal, because the professors were coming from different international background. You have these kind of experience which hardly any other university in that kind of wide variety could offer. And when I came back from Jindal, the understanding of the subject was completely different. The idea of what I want to do with the lab was slightly more sorted. I knew that there are a couple of things that I can look up to, and a lot of times I also advise students to make contacts, do the networking and stuff. And that's where these kind of things, it's easier to say, okay, do the networking, and difficult to actually execute it. And I think that's the place where Jindal as such offers that kind of exposure, that a lot of networking happens on its own. And I remember some fond memories when I came back from Tsinghua, I used to have certain confusions, or I wanted to discuss some judgments, and I would just at that time message Professor Bourne on LinkedIn, and he would be kind enough to respond to that and have a discussion. And I think those bonds were built because of the exposure that we received. So it was a really good experience. It is something, and the entire application process is based on academics and extracurricular activities, very objective process of screening. So depending upon how much hard work you have done in the past couple of years, you will have certain options, and based upon which you can select. last thing, every student had different way of selecting. Some wants to go to the US, irrespective of like what their ranking is and stuff. Some students opt for specific professor. The moment I saw, okay, these are the couple of professors who are going to teach there, I just applied for that opportunity. And not a lot of students wants to go to China as such, for the language barrier and a lot of stuff. But Tsinghua being a good university and these people coming there, I think that extremely helped me.
Wonderful. I would like Harsh also to throw some light about your experience of your study abroad programs, being a Jindal student to Columbia and Melbourne, as well as I think the ESET in Spain.
Right, sir. So much like Sandeep, even I made my decision early on. And one of my motivating factors to actually score well was to qualify for an exchange. I was very happy when I did. So I chose Barcelona, and this is probably the first time I'm saying this. It's because the people who went there before me were uh, the top of their class, and the moment that option was presented to me, I knew that the smartest of the smart before me have gone, and that kind of attracted me to choose Barcelona. Besides the fact that it is Barcelona, it's a great place to live, and they have a great football team. It meant a lot to take a short break from campus, if I may put it that way. Although I did miss campus a lot, and when you come back, it kind of hits you hard that, oh, I've missed out on so much. But you've also gained so much exposure over there that. I also, like Sandeep, studied ADR over there. It was a great experience studying arbitration from an ICC empaneled arbitrator. Her name was Professor Patricia Saiz. Um, it kind of gave me a very good grounding in understanding arbitration law, especially because it was taught in a way that was not jurisdiction specific. So it kind of gave you a peek into both the civil law way of looking at arbitration and the common law way of looking at arbitration. And arbitration, at the end of the day, is meant to be a milieu of both of them, because an award should be able to travel to any jurisdiction that is a signatory to the New York Convention, should be able to be enforced. So lawyers that work on these arbitrations and arbitrators that work on these awards need to understand various how things work in different jurisdictions and how things might be interpreted. Um, it it really taught me a lot. Again, I was sitting with LLM batches, so it was highly competitive. Uh, I sat with LLM batches for the intellectual property law course, for the ADR course, if I'm not mistaken. But one of the standout courses that I actually attended in arbitration, and this goes to show that you don't always have to seek out one area of expertise, and you can actually cross pollinate various areas of expertise. Was a course called Towards a New World Order, and that was actually a political science course. And I must say that coming from a BA LLB background, and I had done all my BA subjects before going on exchange, that really it captured my imagination over there. I worked extremely hard on that subject because I was interested in that subject a lot, and the faculty was amazing. Um, and like the name suggests, it was a political science course. It dealt with how the world is shaping up to be in the era that is to come. Besides that, I think that an exchange offers any applicant or any candidate a very important opportunity to understand how law and legal order is outside of the country. It's one thing to say that I am an Indian qualified lawyer. It's another to say that I can understand how a lawyer in another jurisdiction thinks. And as the world comes closer and we become more interlinked, and jurisdictions and boundaries tend to matter a lot less in terms of transactions, in terms of building synergies in companies, um, you it gives you a certain edge. I think that should sum it up from my end on an exchange. From with regard to the primer course on U.S. business law that I attended at the University of Columbia, there were a lot of students that were actually already enrolled lawyers and enrolled with the bar in their own jurisdiction. So it was great to meet them, get to know them, and of course, the US is at the helm of a lot of lawmaking in the world. We take lead from them with regard to a lot of things, including securities law for that matter. And it gave me a good understanding of corporate law and securities law doing that. The one in Melbourne, I think they discontinued that after my batch. Mine was I was privileged to be one of the last to attend that to attend that conference, and sorry, that summer school. It was my first time in Australia, so it was a great travel opportunity. I was very young. It was in my second year of college, and it basically brought me closer to a lot of people from Jindal that were actually attending that college. So I got to I got early on in my college life at Jindal, I made a lot of friends from Jindal, except I made them in Australia, and that was a great experience. I must say that was more of an academic pursuit and had and less of a bearing on my career, because the subject that we studied over there was international criminal justice, and basically we were studying the ICC statute, which is the International Criminal Court, and the development of international law around crimes like war crimes and crimes against humanity. But once again, fulfilling experience. It contributed heavily towards my experience at Jindal and really shaped me in many ways. With that, I'd like to hand it over back to you, sir.
Wonderful. So we are coming to the end of the session, but I like Ravanth and Vibho to share their parting remarks and also their message for the audience, particularly the young people who are attending it, listening to this webinar, and also Sanjana to say a few words before we close. Yeah, Ravanth, over to you.
So I would, for anybody who is listening and is a law student right now, I would, my suggestion to them, even though my experience post law school is only for 2 years now, 2.5 years, would be to not be afraid to be trying anything that you want to do. And don't say no to a particular thing, because after you start doing something and start getting better at it, you start loving it as well. So you should give yourself that opportunity and you should give yourself that exposure. And don't be afraid, because we are all in the long marathon of being lawyers, no matter what kind of approach we choose, whether we choose the transactional law route or the litigation route, or go ahead and become an academician. But just don't be afraid to try new things is what I would like to say to them.
Yeah. Wonderful. Over to you, Vibho.
First of all, sir, I hope this session was enriching for all law aspirants and law students, and they take back something valuable from this session. To give a message of sorts, I mean, I would just say that don't compare your journey to someone else's journey who you're with, because everyone has different goals, targets, aspirations, and they come from different places generally in life and backgrounds in life. So, and don't be bogged down by the perceptions you hear, and do try it out instead and experience it yourself. And yeah, I mean, wishing everyone the very best.
So, Sanjana.
So as such, like, I don't have any other experience apart from the law school itself. So I would just say that to all the current law year students or the one who are aspiring to do law, I feel that it doesn't matter if you are like, it does of course matter to an extent, but just don't keep pressure on yourself that you need to score and you need to just be on the top of the deck to do everything or to be somewhere in life. I feel as long as you are determined to catch the opportunities that are thrown at you, I think you can do enough and more than enough to yourself, and just keep taking up opportunities and just keep exploring yourself. And I think that is gonna help you a lot for your time. And just don't give up. Just I know I can count for it that it's pressuresome for everyone at law school. Like it has a lot to deal with be it assignments or the exams or whatever, but then just don't give up. Just keep going with the flow and things will fall into place by the end of it. And that's how my journey has been. So I think this is something that I think that you should do.
So thank you so much, everyone. Uh, you all spared your valuable time on this weekend, and it's all my pleasure, my delight to have you, to see you after a long time. I still remember almost all of you on campus. It's a good opportunity for me to see you at least in the Zoom meetings and spend some time with you. Also inviting you back to campus whenever there is an opportunity, whenever situation normalizes. It's you people who have built what JGLS is today. Apart from all other things, I'm extremely proud of our alumni, our students who studied here. And today, I'm very, very proud to see the way they are shaping their own lives and careers, as well as contributing to the profession. Whenever I meet I have met a lot of law firm owners and partners, and even senior advocates, and sometimes even judges in the superior courts. And whoever had a JGLS, a student or alumni working with them or in their firms, I think 95% of time I have received only appreciation and praise and for their hard work, their commitment, their professionalism, and the way they handled the work at the workplace. Hardly one or two persons came up with some complaint during an internship, but that is something, an exception. The general rule is we can be extremely proud of what we are doing here in Sonipat, in this small district of Haryana, which we have brought on the global map, at least in higher education. So thank you so much for joining. And I wish to continue this colloquium and getting our alumni back to campus, to university, to law school in some way or other. So thank you so much.
Thank you
All
so
the
much.
best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Professor.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.